For Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend.
Welcome to episode 59 of the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. Dr. Jeykyll met Dr. Hyde once again as Huddersfield flipped extremes. A dismal defeat away at Swansea had Town fans flat before Pancake Day rolled around and Town fans were once again tossed into the air as Chris Willock kicked off a win over Bristol City with this great goal.
Willock attacks the box, left-footed shot, wonderful goal, Chris Willock. What a strike from the young boy. Willock scores his first home goal for Huddersfield Town. It's an absolute beauty against a rattle Bristol City. Town 1, Bristol City 0.
Town with 3 points from 6 now head into a crunch match against Charlton Athletic. But before we get going, let's hear the highlights.
Moves in, Jepson's there, Billy in, a goal, Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town.
Back at Rob Edwards, what a goal for Rob Edwards. Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Huddersfield got the chance with Clark to knock it through. This could be a chance to equalise, and they have equalised. And you know who scored it, don't you? It's Jordan Rhodes.
He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the flame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears.
Payne's got a chance. Payne scores. Jack Payne scores. Polita gives it straight to Moy again, who shoots. What a goal, Aaron Moy! An absolute thunderbolt delivered all the way from Australia.
Oh, where's he going to drop? But it's in there!
Like Kachunga leads it. Smith scores for Huddersfield Town. 3-2 Town. All 3 Town it stands. Forestieri. Danny Ward saves. Danny Ward saves. Play down the left and Moy stayed onside. Here's Mounier. 2-0 Huddersfield Town on the opening day of the Premier League. De Quattro's in. Brand De Gea. 2-0 Huddersfield Town. Going to turn it into the pass. Yes! And Clement scored. Clement has scored one of the most important goals of Huddersfield Town's history. De Quattro's forward. De Quattro's got the better. Yeah! And Laurent De Quattro scores. Laurent De Quattro scores.
Has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance.
And once again, I want to thank Magic Rock Brewing for their continued sponsorship of the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. Magic Rock Brewing have 2 tap rooms which you can go and check out pre-match, one in Holmfirth and one in Birkby, which is just a nice gentle walk to the stadium after 1 or 2 German Pilsners down there. So thank you once again to Magic Rock. And again, if you've got any clothing or food which you may want to pass on to the Welcome Centre, there are 2 bins at the entrance as you go in, and Magic Rock and the Welcome Centre would be very grateful for any contributions. So thank you once again to Richard at Magic Rock. Okay, with me today I have Richard Kosi Kosmala, and via WhatsApp, a man who may have questioned Jack Hunt's parentage on Tuesday night. It's Simon Copland. Good evening, gents.
Hi, Matt.
Evening, chaps.
How are you doing?
Good. It's been, it feels like a long week, a long emotional week being a Huddersfield Town fan, doesn't it? It feels like a month, doesn't it, this last week? It's just been such an up and down time, especially after the Swansea and Tuesday, and then you're coming out thinking we're on the march, and then everyone else has won, and then you're thinking, look who we've got left to play. I don't know where I stand with it all at the moment. I don't know what you guys think.
Let's dive into the Swans again. Just before Simon gets in there, sorry, Simon. We'll dive into the Swansea game. Town, me and you went on Love Sport Radio, didn't we, on Friday? You can catch the Huddersfield Town special at 10:30 every Friday on Love Sport.
Ian Dunn on tomorrow. It has been confirmed. The legend.
We don't care. So team selection on Saturday. So we went on Love Spot and we actually thought we'd do quite well at Swansea, didn't we?
Yeah.
We fancied it.
Yeah, don't listen because there's just two idiots talking rubbish.
And then my kind of confidence in a result kind of dipped a bit when I saw the team sheet with Andy King partnering in midfield with Lewis O'Brien at number 10 and then Hogg with King in the middle and Campbell over Mounier as well up front. It had other people a bit in a tiz on online on Twitter as well. What did you guys think of the team sheet really, or the start to it?
Yeah, it was a strange one, wasn't it? I think kind of, as you kind of mentioned, Matt, there were perhaps, I wouldn't say surprises in there. I think kind of deep down, I almost knew he would go with Kachunga. I think kind of deep down, I kind of saw that Andy King would play some role. He wouldn't join the club if he kind of wasn't promised starts in game time. But yeah, you kind of look, particularly now reflecting on Tuesday night's game as well, you look at kind of what Willock brought to the team, what Emile Smith-Rowe brought to the team, and kind of for those people who will have obviously travelled to Swansea, congratulations to them and well done to them. I bet they kind of wish they'd have played and kind of made a difference like they did the other night, really.
I was very disappointed, to be honest with you, because I think, obviously you guys kind of a bit more savvy about formations than me, but the one thing I've noticed kind of watching the game back is just the lack of energy from Huddersfield. It was almost as if, you know, the Derby game, because I was really buoyed by that. I thought we played really well, played some nice football. I thought we were making big progress, and it was like that had never happened really. And to be honest, I think if we'd have scraped the 1-1, which, you know, if we'd have just kind of defended how we should have done after we'd equalised, we'd probably wouldn't deserve, in my opinion. But we couldn't even muster that, to be honest with you. I thought we got what we deserved at Swansea, and it was bitterly disappointing, really, because I'd backed us to the hilt, kind of, obviously, on that show, Matt, and I thought we'd be making some real good progress with the football, and I suppose it's proven that, you know, what we did. Obviously, we'll come on to Bristol in a few minutes, but yeah, it wasn't that we lost, because that's always a tough game, Swansea away, but it was how we lost from.
Yeah, the first 55 minutes I thought were pretty poor from us, and then all of a sudden we kind of kicked in. We brought Emile Smith-Rowe on and Steve Mounier, and then everything changed in it, and Chris Willock, and everything kind of changed. And I think by the time we'd scored over the previous sort of 10-15 minutes, we probably deserved to get back into the game, and then we threw it away straight away, corner. And it's when a midfielder who's not exactly renowned for scoring headers pops up in the middle of the box on the penalty spot with an easy header like that, you know that the defence probably hasn't done its job, and it's not a pretty watch back, is that? And
it was one of those that just like, I mean, you know what it's like playing even at five-a-side when you concede just a soft goal, and obviously we got back into it, whether hook or by crook, it just totally deflated everyone, really, the fans, the players. You could see the body language, and obviously then we went and conceded a third, and yeah, all of a sudden a very poor afternoon, really.
Mr. Garrick, a former
Wycliffe Mount student. I think what was quite obvious for me was kind of that team selection that Cowley's picked against Swansea. He's going out for a point, isn't he? He's kind of setting his stall out. We're going away from home. We're going to try to get a point. We'll play for the draw. Anything else is a bonus. And I'm not sure, as a Huddersfield Town fan, where we're at right now, whether I'm particularly content with that. I think...
do you think he does that?
As you say, we've played well at Derby.
I don't know if he ever really sort of plays for a draw, whether he just kind of lets them come at us and soaks it and then hits them on the break. I don't think he ever kind of plays for a point.
There's no real pace to hitting on the break, though, is there? That's kind of almost the point in the team selection, and I appreciate his hands are tied a little bit by what he has available to him, but you saw the pace kind of on the other night with Emile Smith-Rowe, with Willock down the wing, kind of real kind of move from defence to attack really quickly, had people who could kind of just move the ball at pace and kind of travel with the ball at pace. And that kind of team selection midweek didn't have any of that. And I think I kind of looked at that team selection, it just felt a little bit as though we're kind of, as you say, soak the pressure up, and if we can come away with a point, Danny Cowley will be happy. And that may be enough for this season. That may do the job that may get us to 50 points like he spoke about. But I think looking to next season, I kind of going to these places, if you want to achieve something in this league, you need to pick up some more points away from home, and sitting up for a draw week in, week out, it's not going to deliver what you would need to do if you want to kind of get promoted out of this league. So
it was just
we will see in time.
It was a performance for me that was just out of sync with what we've seen. I would argue from, I've said it before, since half an hour after the into the Fulham game and that as well. I thought Ayew, who seems to have an issue with Huddersfield Town, every time we play Ayew, he always seems, I mean, he's a class footballer, but he was so good. He was holding the ball up, bringing us on that play, but really clever. And the Kalulu, the guy who apparently has not been tearing up much, every time he got the ball, he was a threat. I mean, and he only lasted 60, 65 minutes, but he'd done his job. But it was one of those, really, we equalised out of absolutely nothing, really, and I suppose we'll come on to Willock later on. He's been a real positive in the last 2 games. But after that, it's kind of, I suppose football does it for you. But you're thinking, switch on, guys, here. We've stolen a point here we probably don't deserve. But, yeah, like you said, Matt, a terror goal, wasn't it? That second one, it would.
Yeah, the third one was offside. I'm convinced of it by former Wycliffe Mount student Mr. Garrick, Ossett Albion, ex-Ossett Albion player. He went through, but I don't think that really mattered. I don't think that would have affected the final result, in all honesty. I felt pretty down after that Swansea performance because I think the results around us hadn't gone very well again.
Wigan beat Millwall, Barnsley beat Middlesbrough. I think that doubly hurt, really, didn't it? And I think, obviously, coming off the back of the Cardiff game that we'd seen, Derby, obviously we'd not won, but I felt that, the performances...
Positive, wasn't it?
It was, and then that's really it. And then you're looking at the table, and all of a sudden, we were just 1 point in front of what were we on Saturday? 2 points in front, yeah. But I think the main thing, the wind had knocked out of our sails. So, I mean, we don't want to spend too much in this Swansea because Tuesday night we're just like chalk and cheese, wasn't it?
But Swansea's not much fun, so we'll move on.
No, I mean, the conditions were horrendous. They seem to be every game these days, don't they? The weather, what have you. But there's no excuse, really. It just... there was, and I think the thing that struck me for the first time all season, and again, social media is maybe sometimes not the best gauge, but there was a lot of, it was almost like that's it now. The Cowley's a fair game, and there was a lot being said, a lot of anger. I don't know if a lot of panic looking at the table, but I felt it were a kind of back to the bad old days. It were a nasty place to be on Saturday night and Sunday coming into the games. A lot of negativity and. Things had changed for me with the fan base on this game against Swansea, and obviously we didn't take too many. So I just think a lot of people looked at the lineup, saw the result. Although we had more possession than Swansea, but it was a cheap possession, wasn't it?
Lossell to
but I think the common denominator was Emile Smith-Rowe's been playing really well, and he came on. Things changed. Why wasn't he starting? The Cowley's negative, etc. And it were all happening from Saturday onwards, really. And we really needed Tuesday. What did you think? I thought. That they were a bit of a watershed, really. This first time they really got some stick, I thought.
Yeah, I've seen it
definitely
happen.
felt a bit of a turning moment. I thought a little bit unsavoury, because it says with some points that kind of were voiced on social media. I kind of felt that people were right to question the team selection. I think kind of people prior to then had seen glimpses of Emile Smith-Rowe and were kind of questioning perhaps why he hadn't been included. Similarly with Willock, a lot had been made about how successful the transfer window had been, but yet these players were not in the team. And kind of also kind of we'd start to see kind of, or heard for a number of weeks now that Pritchard was about to be involved, but again didn't perhaps make his way off the bench, and kind of a few things, kind of messages perhaps being interpreted by the fan base differently to perhaps what Danny Cowley had maybe intended them to be. I think kind of contributed to this kind of feeling of kind of disappointment, kind of a bit of anger probably in truth as well at kind of how a team that's kind of, as you say, Kosi, 1 week can do that performance against Derby and look really interested up for it, and then something very, very kind of very different. But what I will say in Danny Cowley's defence is obviously he's kind of got the team in kind of after that game and then kind of either given them up for or kind of told them a few home truths, and the response kind of the other night was kind of everything and more, wasn't it? And obviously we'll come on to discuss that now, but I couldn't have asked for a better response, really.
I think I'll kind of close Matt. You make a good point, because I agree. I think they were right. I mean, because you think of like Mooney and Smith-Rowe, to me, were some of the form offensive players that we had, not in there. Kachunga, who, I mean, I suppose we'll discuss it in a minute. I don't think anyone's been wild with it. I love his effort, but attacking wise, Andy King, not a man who's going to bomb forward and get you much. So I just think, well, hang on a minute, why aren't these guys in? You know, obviously Grant, what a debate, wasn't it? I mean, we put it out there, didn't we? Would you kind of start with him? Would you keep Mooney and stuff? So I think people just looked at that and obviously the way it went. But yeah, enough of Swansea. Let's move on to Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't want to get into Cal and Grant up front. You know my strong feelings on that and what they have been over the last 12 months.
How did you feel coming into Tuesday? Because I can back it up on our WhatsApp group. I felt we were going to win, and it's just you two guys felt we were going to lose, and well, not felt, you said, and I said we're going to win, but it's almost, this is the division. It's almost like forget about what's happened before, forget where they are in the table. I just had a good feeling about it. As long as you could get the right players in the team to give us a go. I just felt it had to be an attacking, because the fan base was kind of swaying, I thought, a little bit. So the lineup was important Tuesday. So when we saw that team, I thought that's a good side.
Happy when I saw the lineup.
Yeah.
When I saw the lineup, I saw Smith Rowe back in. And I think we forget that the last time Smith Rowe played, he went off carrying a bit of a knock, I think, which hasn't, they didn't make a big song and dance of that. But the last time he played at home, he went off with a bit of a knock, and the Cowleys have made a point of saying that they have to look after Emile Smith Rowe, and that's essentially what they've done. And he was outstanding, wasn't he? From first minute to the very, very last, he was something special. And at number 10, you could even argue that performance, the number 10, we've just had 2 years in the Premier League. Have we seen a better number 10 play for us while we're in the Premier League than Emile Smith Rowe? I don't think so. He's honestly, the performances he's put in away at Fulham, they're far better than anything Alex Pritchard, Abdelhamid Sabiri, Tom Ince, etc., have put in the Premier League. He's outstanding. He's a quality player, and that's not to diminish them, the other ones, by any means, but that's how good he is. He looks a Premier League footballer to me, and I thought the three behind Fraser Campbell were outstanding on Tuesday. I thought Karlan Grant was excellent on the left-hand side. His interplay was far better. You can't play Karlan Grant as a central striker without people close to him like we did at Swansea. The ball will just come back and back and back because he can't do the role. So to see him wide left again was good. And to see Chris Willock start after he came on and did a good job against Swansea, that was good as well, because he offers something different. He's a direct winger. He runs at people. He's got a trick. He can cut. He's got a really good balance in either foot as well. Whereas what you get with Kachunga, and it's just hard. A straight line, hard work. And Chris Willock, you can see him coming in at different angles and trying to work different angles and that. And even if you look at the second, the penalty that we got, look how far Chris Willock's come in from the flank. He's there in the number 10 position playing the 1-2s with Emile Smith Rowe, and that's what I like to see. I like to see that fluidity with those wide players, coming into areas to affect the game rather than just stood on the flank waiting for the ball like Sean Scannell perhaps used to do a few years ago.
The thing that, for me, simple, them two guys look like they're enjoying playing football. To me, Willock has had nothing to lose. He's not kicked a ball. He's excited. He's on the pitch at last. He's going to show, kind of Bilic what he's been missing. And I felt on Saturday it was a nothing to lose scenario. I thought he'd get this call. I did. After what we saw Saturday in the way, we needed to win the game, so it was a no-brainer him playing. But Smith Rowe just seems to be a bit of an head scratcher while he's been out. I know Danny Cowley in his press conference said, you've got to look after the boy, which I kind of, was surprised when he, was left out of. He didn't play Cardiff, did he? Was sub wanting for that?
No, I think that's where he. That's where he got the knock. I think Cardiff.
Yeah, sorry, not. And then so we obviously have to take his word for it. To me, two boys who enjoy playing football. Just make it really simple, and this is what you want to see on the pitch. I've been frustrated with our lack of entertainment. Some of the football's been so boring to watch. These two, you pay good money to watch. Smith Rowe, everything the Arsenal fans said we would get, obviously the people who've watched him in the academy, you're thinking, okay, yeah, but that's it, under 18s level or what have you. Wow, he was sensational. And they didn't know how to stop him apart from just to kick him.
Exactly. Simon, you were behind the goal.
I think what's quite... Yeah, I was going to say, what was quite interesting for me is, if you talk about Emile Smith Rowe and Chris Willock, I guess the distinction between the two is that, for me, I think the expectation around Emile Smith Rowe is quite high coming to the club. Yes, he's only a kid, of course, and we shouldn't expect too much, but this is a lad who's kind of been quite highly regarded in the Arsenal setup, kind of had some minutes in the first team, been on loan to Leipzig. But on the other end of the spectrum, you've got Chris Willock, who arguably has lost his way a little bit in football, kind of was at Arsenal, obviously, as a youngster, but kind of left there and been kind of on loan at West Brom, didn't get to look in, kind of been at Benfica, I think, and not really been involved there either. And I think, speaking for myself at least, kind of, I was a little bit unsure about who he was and what he was going to bring to this football club, and expectations were a little bit kind of low, really, of him. And they've both delivered, but both delivered perhaps in slightly different ways. And just to come back on your point about Emile Smith-Rowe, I mean, you mentioned a number of players in that 10 position, Alex Pritchard, Tom Ince, Beery, like you say, but I'd probably go as far to say kind of on the little that I've seen kind of so far, probably ahead of kind of Casey Palmer and Izzy Brown, really. I mean, on one hand, he's been involved in Premier League football, which when them two came to us,
European
they hadn't.
Football,
So arguably perhaps a little bit kind of further ahead in his career and ahead in his development than what they are, but he kind of the speed at which he kind of moves kind of the ball and moves the play forward, the touch and kind of the ability to kind of find kind of just move through the gears. Kind of he's so good at kind of either speeding the play up or slowing the player down. I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him, and kind of naturally you can't start thinking towards next season, don't you? And would there be any chance we could get him on loan again? I'd be very surprised in truth, I think, on what I've seen so far.
We need to stay up for starters.
Well, we do need to stay up starters, but kind of you'd imagine him in and around the Arsenal first team, wouldn't you?
His touch for the, I don't even call it, let's call it GBH, when he got absolutely cleaned out for the penalty. His first touch was sensational. And I know I put a video out on it, and again, when it's slowed down, it looks, but he had no margin for error there. And he was just sensational. It's just little things that's just like natural ability. But the best thing I like about him, he's so positive. And his first thoughts, there's a lot of town players that seem to have a disease of just passing it back and sideways. This guy's first thought is forward we go.
His first touch is forward as well.
Sensational, mate.
It's brilliant.
Just on kind of like the GBH, and I guess kind of in my mind at least, just for as good as Town were, how poor were Bristol City? I thought Bristol City were really poor, particularly in that first half. One of the worst footballing teams I've seen. How they're challenging for the playoffs kind of was beyond me on that basis. But then again, this is a team that kind of beat us quite comprehensively on in the season, so perhaps I kind of should keep my mouth shut. But I thought they were really, really bad. And if I'd have been a Bristol fan who travelled to see that, I'd been going home with kind of the bit between my teeth.
As I've said before, time and again, I'm not a fan of the manager there, Lee Johnson. I just they're incredibly wildly, just very much like we are at the minute. Bristol City, they're wildly inconsistent, and they've got a decent back four, back three. But I think they'd switched formation. They played 4-4-2. I think Cowley said afterwards that Danny Cowley said they'd been playing 4-4-2 or 4-3-3 for quite a while, and then they switched last night because I think they battered us at their place with that system, and I think we were just so much better. It was Emile Smith-Rowe really popping up behind the two central midfielders in areas where they didn't want to go, and he just absolutely ruined their system. And you've got to give, I suppose, some credit to Fraser Campbell, who I didn't think played particularly well on the day, but his constant harassment of the back three really stretches them and pulls them out of position, and it allows the three behind then to sort of get on the ball and get into these spaces which Fraser Campbell's creating for them. And you've got to kind of see, and that's why you kind of understand why maybe Campbell's there instead of Steve Mounier, who doesn't really do that. So you've got to kind of credit Danny Cowley for creating the basis and the foundation for those three to go and play on. And one other player I thought was excellent was Lewis O'Brien, as well. He's so much energy, box to box, winning the ball. I'm trying very quickly to look at some of the stats he's got from Tuesday, and he's got a good 7.6 on whoscored.com, and he's got some good rates, 76% passing rate, 5 tackles. It's his tackling, for someone who's 5'7", 5'6", he's not the biggest, 5'8" maybe. He's getting sort of more tackles per game than Hogg almost. He's nipping in there, and not only does he win the ball like Hogg, he glides away from people when he wins the ball. His first touch, it's the first 2 yards, how he skips away from people.
It's his first championship season. You do forget that, don't you? It's incredible. I read I don't know if it was Mel Booth who said an examiner, but it's a fair point because the people were saying, can we keep Smith-Rowe? But Mel, I could be totally wrong, Mel, if it's you listening, but he said, never mind, can we keep Smith-Rowe? We will be able to keep Lewis O'Brien. He were kind of questioning that obviously words getting around, the tackles, the stats, the way he's burst onto the scene, really. Every time we seem to have a live Sky game, he seems to get the praise from the likes of Don Goodman and what have you. So if he keeps developing like this, we're going to struggle to keep hold of him, I think.
Give Trevor Chalobah some credit as well. He's much maligned, isn't he, or was previously with a lot of Town fans, and he came on for Hogg. Hogg, sadly, he's got seems to have had a bit of a knee. I think he's got some kind of knee injury that he's having a scan on at the minute. So I thought Trevoh Chalobah came in. It would have been easy for him to throw Andy King on, the experienced one, but he didn't. He went to Trev Chalobah, and the balance between the two, they both did a very similar job up and down and going into that sort of false fullback position to offer support. And I thought they both played really well. And I think when the chips are up, I think those two are a really good midfield combo. But it's usually when the chips are down and you're against the wall. That's where you want your Jonathan Hoggs, isn't it, and your Andy Kings. But to be fair, great credit to that midfield.
Lewis O'Brien's best position for me. I think obviously he's been used in a number of positions this season. Left back at times, obviously early on when we were short in the area, but quite recently in a number 10 role. I think he can do a job there, and obviously he's got great energy, so he'll press loads for you, and he'll kind of do lots and lots of work rate. But I think kind of in that deeper position is probably where he thrives. He can kind of break up play, can recycle the ball, kind of speed the game up, slow the game down, and kind of obviously kind of as we saw away at Barnes, they've got a killer shot as well. And will kind of contribute a few goals at some point during the season. So I'd hope and I'd like to see him kind of continue that position for the foreseeable. But it's certainly not disadvantaged for him to be able to play a number of positions. It will work in our favour, no doubt, as the season goes on.
Well, let's wax lyrical about Willock's goal. It was absolutely sensational, wasn't it? It's
balance, isn't it?
Fantastic. And this is the thing I keep saying, it's exciting. Well, people paying money to watch exciting football. We've been starved because we haven't had a winger for love nor money for months, have we? Really,
since in League One,
since Rajiv Van La Parra. I know he frustrated a lot, but at least you'd think, what's going to happen? It's kind of exciting.
People, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, this guy's hardly game. He's not match fit, is he? He's just giving us bursts and things. But honestly, it's
good job.
It's exciting. And what did £1.35 million there?
Release.
Is it release clause or something like that?
They're always really high though out there in Portugal and Spain.
Yeah.
They always have these really sky high clauses. Yeah. I would imagine if they want to sell him, I'd be surprised if they wanted the release clause amount. But we're talking possibles, aren't we, towards the end of the season? But Chris Willock, do you continue with him, or do you kind of, because obviously with his match fitness, it may get dipped in and out again, and I think it's important not to get too frustrated if he finds his way back out. Did you feel a bit for Kachunga? Danny Cowley said afterwards the reason he took him out is because he's overplayed him a bit, and maybe I think he likened it to blunting a knife by overplaying him. And
I didn't think Cowley had much option, to be honest. Obviously, he could have kept him in, but I think it was the right move. We're at home, we need to win, and I don't think Kachunga's going to give you much X factor, really. He'll give you a graft, but we need more than that. We need wins, and I expect Saturday for him to be benched as well. And I think class to Kachunga, as well. I think I saw a tweet out, well done, guys, get in there and all this lot. Yeah. So it just shows what a team player he is. But I think it was the right thing to get him out of the firing line, because I think, again, you don't just react to what people say on, phone-ins, Twitter, what have you. But I do think the fans might have gone his back. So I think it was a no-brainer, really, and rewarded with a bold approach.
You're right, because a lot of players do go quite, if they're not in the team, they're non-existent on social media, aren't they? They do kind of like disappear into thin air. So yeah, it's like Danny Cowley says, Kachunga's, he loves the club, he loves the fans, doesn't he? He's had a great 4 years here. I think if and when he leaves, I think it'll be quite a sad time, I would imagine, for him. What do you do then, Simon? Do you keep faith with that three behind midfield? Behind the striker?
In front of midfield.
Yeah.
I do, yep. So kind of same team for me. Looking ahead to the weekend's game, obviously that depends on Johnny Hogg's fitness. I think if Johnny Hogg's not available, I probably would start Trev. I think Trev did well when he came on. And like you say, there's a natural balance between him and Lewis O'Brien in that kind of deep line too. So yes, same team for me, potentially with that one change depending on his fitness. I think kind of then looking further ahead to obviously the Leeds United game the week after that, I think that's when Cowley may choose to use his squad a little bit more. We've seen when we go away from home, perhaps, as you alluded to kind of at the top of the podcast, potentially a little bit more defensive-minded setup. I think Kachunga might come back into that game.
I hope you're wrong, Si, because I think this is what we got drawn into in Swansea. I think, it's one for next week, innit, when we're previewing the big derby, but you've got to have weapons to a top team, and then Smith Rowe on the bench, Willock on the bench. If you bring in Kachunga, I don't think that sends out a message to me that it's like, I don't think it'll happen Saturday because we've got a win. I think we can blow Charlton away again. But the trouble is, this is God. We were so up for it last Friday, weren't we? And Swansea, it really is a season I've never known anything like. Well, obviously at the start we were consistent because we were garbage and losing every game. But now it's just like, win, draw, lose. But the performances are so. I think they've been okay for a bit, but they did badly in Swansea. But it's like it never happened against Bristol. And I know they were shocking, and we all agree on that. But we're at it from the start, and I think that's what we've not done enough this season. From the first whistle, we were up for it. Yeah,
I'd like to think that we made them bad as well, as much as anything. I thought us getting on top of them really sort of knocked them back, especially with what they I think they'd have looked at us and thought these guys start pretty slowly. But fair credit to us, we came out pretty quickly, didn't we? And we've been moaning about slow starts, and out we came, greyhounds out of the traps, didn't we? And we were straight at them, and I think that really threw them, and I just don't think they could properly get back into the game.
I think the funniest thing, though, the Phil Hodgkinson put a tweet out on Tuesday night saying, should have been 5. It should have, Phil, but Classic Town were all over and were battering, and there's only one winner. And Bristol City, out of absolutely nowhere, get a goal, 88 minutes, and all of a sudden...
It's not offside either, because Naki doesn't touch it. So
all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like... Here we go, panic. I think Lee Johnson didn't even smile. He was that fuming with his performance. Why did Town do that? Why did they do it?
There's a slight worry. You look at we'll talk about the league table in a minute, but you look at our goal difference again, and our goal difference is crap again. And if it comes down to goal difference, you look at games like that, which was to be fair, you take the 3 points and you're not worried about anything else if you play Bristol City, but it probably was a chance to maybe make a little chip in that a little bit. But, as long as we've got the 3 points, we'll keep moving on. And what I'll do before we get any further is we'll see what our little, I can't call them WAP spurts. We need to come up with something, Kosi, don't we, for our mailbox levers. Let's call them chances. Take that chances. I can't think of anything.
Is it like the academy? Take that chance academy.
Maybe.
Coming through the ranks. So when we pass away, they can come in and step in.
A bit morbid, but all right. Okay, so I'll press this magic button, and you'll get some 1 or 2 new voices.
We're sorry, your call cannot be taken at this dial.
No one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Where did you start with that match?
So disappointed.
I enjoyed the pie. That pie was really nice.
I actually think the performance was that bad.
So let's just look forward to the next game.
Looking back, I'd say a personal highlight of mine from a quite inconsistent season of football. The decision to start Emile Smith-Rowe and Chris Willock showed a lot more attacking intent from the Cowleys, who you could say received a bit of uncalled for stick this week. I mean, yes, it was a dismal performance away at Swansea, and you feel he was forced into making such decisions from disappointed fans. But anyway, getting on to last night's game, the boys from the off were pressing from the front. The link-up play between Grant and Toffolo on that left-hand side with Emile coming across to support was just superb to watch. Similarly, Willock was just a breath of fresh air from Kachunga, who we've seen for the last couple of years. And I mean, what a goal to cap off that first half. That was just pretty much an exact replica of the one that he did at the weekend. Coming into the second half, of course, Bristol had a reaction, changed the pace, tried to take the game to us, but really showed no massive major threat of getting back into it. And I mean, as soon as we got that second goal from quite a sublime give and go run that led to the pen, we looked as if we were going to kill it off, dead and buried. I mean, seriously, it should have been 4 or 5-0. But of course, in classic Huddersfield fashion, we decided to give them a goal, 10 minutes to go. But held our own, held out, and onto a huge game against Charlton on Saturday.
Hi, this is Claire. Still buzzing from last night's win against Bristol City. Thought that was the best 90 minutes performance I've seen from Town in a long time. The combination of Emile Smith-Rowe, Grant, Willock at the front, along with Toffolo and O'Brien, I thought that combination was excellent. I mean, Emile Smith-Rowe, what a player. We've said it before and we've seen it in other matches how good he is, but last night he just seemed on a totally new level. I'm in awe of what I was watching last night. Bristol City didn't know how to play him at all, other than ruffle him up. I mean, Bristol City clearly came with big bully boy tactics. They're a big team, thought they'd throw the weight around the pitch, but I certainly didn't let Town stop playing the football that they wanted to play. I thought another dimension came on with Chalobah when he came onto the pitch. Again, I've just said about the large players, and I just thought he gave a bit of height and dimension. He's one of those players that I don't know if he's playing well or playing badly, but last night I thought he played really, really well and added a little bit extra. Danny Cowley's often said about his processes, getting alignments and getting the team thinking as one. And I think last night was one of those matches where we really saw what he is working towards. They were excellent. The passage of play, the pace of play, the passes that they were making across the pitch. There was one pass in the second half where it just went from right across to left to one of our players. The awareness of where everybody is and knowing that if they passed the ball into a space, somebody was going to run into that space. They were just excellent, and I think I'm really excited that if that is what they're doing on the training ground, then we've got a lot of exciting football to come. I did feel sorry for Lossell though. He didn't have a lot to do and he must have been absolutely freezing. Still buzzing. I think fingers crossed we can get a run on now because we really need it. But what a lift last night, what a game, and I'm really excited for Charlton on Saturday.
Hi there, Graham Rayner, part-time comedian, full-time Town fan. Just reflecting on last night's much-needed home win against Bristol City. Fantastic result, much needed, as I say. Squeaky bum time at the end, but then we never make it easy, do we? Two things stood out for me as real highlights. First one was Fraser Campbell's attempt at a scissors kick in the first half, which was hilarious. Probably the least successful use of scissors since Pat Sharp's mullet in the 1980s, but I do look back fondly at the Funhouse Twins. And then the second thing was, there was a song that was being sung for about a quarter of an hour towards the end. I couldn't quite make the words out, but I think it was about a pasty, and that made me really hungry. So on the way home I stopped and robbed a Greggs, which was another highlight. So yeah, looking forward to Saturday against Charlton. More of the same, and I might bring my own pasties this time. Cheers, bye.
Hi, this is Stephen John from Malaysia. Well, there was a lot at stake at this game after going winless in the last 3 ones. So the fact is that it was just 2 points separating us from the relegation zone. It was vital that we had to win in order to give ourselves some room to breathe. Well, thank God that's what just happened. And beyond the result, I have to say this has been the best team we put out there. It was solid from front to back. I couldn't find any reason for me to complain with regards to the selection. I think wish we could have scored more, but hey, I guess but what matters right now is that we got the 3 points. So I'm very happy about that. I just hope we can keep this momentum going into our next game against Charlton, because if we can win that game, it will give us some boost and motivation going into the next game, which is against Leeds United. Now, no matter how you look at it, beating your rival beats anything that you achieve that season. So I just want us to be in top form by the time we hit to Ellen Road. That's it. Thank you.
Hi guys, it's Brady Frost, one of the writers for Any Takes That Chance. So before I go into the Bristol game, I'm just going to touch on Swansea briefly, even though I don't really want to remember the match, because I think they're two really contrasting performances. I think what's most disappointing about the Swansea match for me was the manner of the defeat. It felt like a bad day at the office. We got ourselves back into the game at 1-1 with 12 minutes to go and then concede immediately from a corner. Really sloppy defending, it can be avoided, and it just gets worse from there. For me, absolute day to forget, and understandably Town fans were worried, and I was worried too going into the Bristol game. I didn't think we'd get much from the game. How wrong I was, and I'm really, really pleased, because for me that was one of the best performances of the season. I will admit Bristol did look a bit off colour, not the usual selves, but Town have to beat what's in front of them, and they did take advantage. Lovely play between Willock and Smith Rowe for Willock's goal. What a goal it was! Don't see too many of them at the John Smith Stadium. And from I felt the first half we did control the game. Hogg went off injured, obviously, but I thought Chalobah did play really well. And then we had a bit of a shaky start second half, but then we got into control the game, and Smith Rowe wins the penalty. For me, Smith Rowe was the man of the match. Fantastic. What really impresses me is he's only 19 years old, but his decision making is so mature. I'd say 8 out of 10 times he makes the right decision, and he's willing to run at people. And I think we've got a hell of a player on our hands. He's definitely going to be a Premier League player next season. If you into his stats as well, it backs it up. He had 78 touches of the ball. There was 4 key passes, and he got an assist and complete 3 dribbles. And he should have scored, and that would have capped up a really impressive performance. And then, obviously, Grant scores the penalty but in typical Town fashion, we make it hard for ourselves. How many chances do we have to kill the game? Obviously, I think it's a little bit harsh on O'Brien, but he could have done better. Obviously, we touched on Smith Rowe's chance, and then controlling the game, it's kind of winded down, and then we concede such a sloppy, scruffy goal and put ourselves under pressure. Really unnecessary for me. We need to control games a bit more. But if I'm being honest, kind of last 10 minutes is how I see the rest of the season going. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be games where we are expected to win and not win, or we pull it out of the bag or whatever. So obviously we roll into Charlton on Saturday, and we just need to win to get the breathing space. But there's going to be plenty more twists and turns for the rest of the season, and that's why we love football, isn't it? Cheers, bye.
G'day, Adelaide Terrier here. What a start to the day. Very early for me, 5 o'clock to get to work, get all my preparation done so I could watch the match. And what I saw of it, lineup, fantastic, 4-2-3-1. No Kachunga, fair enough. No Mounier. But still, I thought we looked far better going forward, attacking. Willock looked like he can do on the right what Grant can do on the left. That showed with the goal he scored. I don't think Bristol were played as well as they did down there when we got thrashed, but still I think we had more purpose. We used the ball better, we moved forward quicker, and I suppose really Emile Smith Rowe again, he gets the ball, picks it up and goes forward, doesn't look for a side pass, doesn't look for a pass backwards, just looks to attack. We certainly seem to be ticking when he's in. It's a bit like a couple of years ago with the Chelsea boys. Good goal by Willock. Shame that the second one was disallowed for offside. Just shows you what happens if you get into the box and run at people, you get a penalty. Must think, even I could tell before Grant took it, he was going to put it in the left. And it was a bit laboured, a bit too casual. But anyway, it went in, which was good. And after that, 8 minutes of extra time, we looked good. We looked coasting. And then second half, again Grant has another chance, gets in there. I don't know how he missed. And then again Emile Smith from the deflection hits it over. So it could have been 3, maybe 4-1, which would have been fantastic. But certainly a great improvement. Well done Cowler brothers for that. Looking forward to Saturday, another early start, but it's worth it. Up the Town.
Stephen Chicken here, standing in the car park after that smashing win over Bristol City. I think that's probably the best Town home performance we've seen this season. Certainly on the ball. I mean, obviously they had the 3-0 against Hull. They had the 2-0 against QPR that was pretty routine, but genuinely Town could have had 3 or 4 goals against Bristol. Mel's just honking at me there. they could have had the 3 or 4 goals against Bristol, and probably should have done, to be honest, if they'd been a bit more ruthless. And when was the last time that you could have said Town should have scored 4? The expected goals was 4.2, which is phenomenal, the best that Town have had for several years. Smith Rowe was absolutely outstanding. He got the first 9 out of 10 the Examiner have given all season. Chris Willock deserved his goal. Carlin Grant deserved his goal. Lewis O'Brien was an absolute machine again. Harry Toffolo was fantastic up the left. Just a lot of positives there. Obviously, we've been here before. We've had good performances and then followed them up with bad ones. But with Charlton coming to Town on Saturday, hopefully Town can produce another performance like that, make it a 6-point week, and then everyone will have forgotten about that defeat against Swansea. It was really nice to hear the fans singing Danny Cowley's Barmy Army towards the end there after the stick they gave him, possibly quite justifiably, for the performance against Swansea. So, yeah, looking good.
Howdy. I thought that was a wonderful game. I thought the Cowleys had a great game plan. You could tell Bristol City was out of sorts, unprepared for that kind of pressure. Credit to the guys. I thought that they were executing at a really high level, higher than what we've really seen previous. A lot of combinations and off-ball movement that really haven't seen at a consistent level so far. And I also think that if they can work out some of these combinations and things like crossing into the box, that we have a lot of great things to come. It wasn't perfect, but I do think this is a trend in the right direction. So I'm excited to see what else the guys and the Cowleys have for us in the future.
Please hang up.
So I'm seeing these results thinking, yeah, it's between Luton, Barnsley, Wigan, Huddersfield, Stoke. And then look at the table and think, no, it is not at all. And wow, all of a sudden you think we're playing for maybe one place now. 3 places between.
I'm going to throw in everybody in the bottom half apart from QPR. And the reason for that is there are little murmurs about points deductions coming in. We don't know if it's going to happen just yet, but Sheffield Wednesday, Derby, and Birmingham are all kind of up in the gallows for possible points deductions. We don't know how many there'll be, whether the EFL. To be honest, I look at the EFL. I think.
You know when that'll be, Matt?
I think it was about this time last year when they came in and they deducted. Birmingham got deducted last year, didn't they? Birmingham. And as far as I know, Birmingham haven't got that wage budget under control, and they've failed financial fair play again. So I would imagine they'll potentially have a deduction. Sheffield Wednesday for their D's taxes or whatever it was that Mr. Chansiri's funneling money through.
Allegedly.
Yeah, thank you. And then Derby County for the Wayne Rooney and the ground. They're not rumours, allegations we'll call them. So potentially there's 3 clubs that could be in it, and I'm kind of one of those people who doesn't want them to kind of get the deduction, because I don't want that to, if they go down instead of us, it'd be like a default, but I'd rather we just get, win the games, but we kind of need it. It's bringing everyone in. So Sheffield Wednesday, so Birmingham, if they get a points deduction, would drop below us. Sheffield Wednesday would be level. And Derby County would drop below us as well. So that's crazy. We're talking 9 point. That's usually what they give them, a 9-point deduction. That would be crazy, because that would put us up to around about 16th place.
Oh no! Obviously, Hull have sold the crown jewels to West Brom, and
I almost like Hull to get dragged into it. Kind of, I wouldn't feel any sympathy for Hull if they were to be relegated. It feels like the owners there have kind of tried to strip every single asset kind of possible. I appreciate the 2 lads. I think we're out of contract either at the end of this season or the next one, so arguably they wanted to make some money out of them while they could. But kind of McCann's potentially had as you say, Kosi, the jewels pulled from underneath his feet there, and they need to understand there's kind of consequences of doing that, and relegation is potentially one of those. Looking at the table and looking at the form guide,
I tweeted this out there: 70 goals, and they're only 4 points behind Middlesbrough and out of it. How can you concede 70 goals and still have a chance of staying up? The division is absolutely nuts. But them 3, their fans I mean, the manager's not going to say it. And the players deep down thinking, we're knackered here. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're on a roll. And yeah, where do you think we are mentally about it? Because we know we've got the players to stay up, but Saturday's huge, isn't it? I know we can save every game, but we do.
If we lose Saturday against Charlton, then I think a lot of panic will set in because Charlton will go 3 ahead of us with a better goal difference.
I think the reason why it will set in because
and obviously other results.
The way we played so well. Danny Simpson said today the best performance of the season. I don't think many could argue with that.
Definitely
but all of a sudden to go from that, because this is the trouble, we're no good at being consistent. To go from that to lose would be it'd be a huge blow. So it's such a big game, and I mean, a draw's a draw, but I still think it'll feel disappointing. Well, that obviously if we're 3 down with 10 minutes to go and we draw, then maybe not. But
it's the manner of it, isn't it? So, it feels like with Charlton, we've got coming up at home, we've got Luton, we've got Wigan, and we've got Charlton at home. 3, we've got Reading away as well from that thing. I always feel that at this time of year, you are so much better playing the teams in the middle that are just kind of like ignorantly bobbing along, not really.
Who are them? Because there's about.
Well, I was just going to say, we've pretty much just said everyone in the bottom half's up for the chop.
But I mean, like 11th are only 6 off 6, so is there anyone with nothing to play for? Because you like
few more Bristol's by the sounds of it.
Yeah, but Bristol are only 3 off 5th, and
true.
Because I mean, you said QPR only because they have good points deduction, but I would say everyone else has got something to fight for in that as well. So from the neutral, they're going to be absolutely rubbing their hands. Sky, which game should we put on, etc. But it's incredible how it's opened up, isn't it? It's absolutely bonkers.
What does your gut say in terms of? I'm still sticking to it that we'll stay up. I've at no point this season have I thought we'll go down. But
we've got some great players. Well, great. That's a stupid. How can
great's a bit
players?
Stretch, yeah, good players.
We've got some quality players. As bench the other night were like,
it was good. Wasn't
strong it? To me. Impact to come in. Our fixtures are. I mean, they're as tough as you will get, really. And I think, for what that's worth in this mad division night, I think we'll be fine still. But without that, it just shows that win on Tuesday were huge, wasn't it? In so many ways. But I'd love to see us. I would really love to obviously see us win on Saturday, but go to Ellen Road with a lot of heart, because I just don't want there to be like a game where, right, that's it, damage limitation. Because why should it be? We can go there and beat them. Wigan did.
We can beat anybody in this league if we turn up and we play at maximum capability. There's no reason why we couldn't. The reason why we don't is because of the consistency levels, and I think as a unit, I'm watching the back 4 unit against Bristol City, and I still think that back 4 unit's a little bit creaky, in certain areas, where certain balls come across and the communication's not quite there yet between Stearman and Schindler. They don't quite know each other yet. Danny Simpson, I think for the header, Danny Simpson came too far in at that point, but they're all good players individually, and it's just getting that. I think they need to play every week, every game together, and get that understanding and I think that back 4 would be the basis then of the rest, the platform for the rest, and hopefully, because I thought Carlan Grant was Emile Smith Rowe put in one of the best individual performances, probably the best individual performance of the season against Bristol City. If he hadn't have done that, I would be saying Carlan Grant's individual performance against Bristol City was almost
he
the best
deserved
of the season.
that goal. I mean, God, Blaisdell should score, shouldn't he? But it's he really is. But there's competition now for his place. Steve Mounier is there, ready to come in. Obviously, we've talked about Kachunga losing his place and in inverted commas rested. We know the truth, really, and you could argue at the back. I mean, Stankovic has kind of been shunted out.
Yeah, he's unlucky. He's unlucky. But going back to it, I look at this now, and who do you? I think the 3 that'll go down. My mind changes every week. this week, who are you?
You said we were going to win at Swansea, Matt. What do we know about?
I'm never predicting us to win again.
I said we win 2-1 on Tuesday, as I've kept babbling.
Where else did I said we win at Derby as well?
Broken clocks, right? Twice.
But
I'll share mine with you first. Then So, Luton, Barnsley. I think they are improving, but that kind of 3 points and 4 point gap, respectively, probably a little bit too much at this moment in time. Could all change, but I think those 2 will go down. Along with, I'm torn between Hull, Chaplin, and Middlesbrough. I'm not really narrowing it down there, am I?
I'm with you on them 2, Si. I'm going to say Hull just because of the the way they're dropping, the owners, number one, the crowds are shocking, although they'll probably be full house for Leeds on Saturday. Yeah, we know to our cost when we sold the Crown Jewels, we didn't get in, to the Premier League. We know what it can do. So it's, but honestly, we don't know. I mean, the poll I put out, 300 votes. How do we feel about it? 11 games left. Chill out, we'll be okay. 45%. I'm still concerned. 55%. So I think
I don't know how anyone can't be concerned to a degree.
Because we're so inconsistent though, and that as well. There's been some funny.
I think both. I think we'll be okay.
Confidently concerned, Wilshere. I like that one.
I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. I'm looking at it now, and I think Hull City, Middlesbrough, Luton at the moment. Those are my three. I just look at teams and I think if you've got a goal scorer, you've got half a chance. And Kiefer Moore's hit fire for Wigan, and Corley Woodrow's doing really well at Barnsley. He's got sort of 15 or so this season. And Sam Vokes up for Stoke. We've got Karlan Grant and Mounier. Middlesbrough, no one's really putting the ball in the net from what I can see. And Hull City as well.
No.
Those two teams, and they're going. Middlesbrough were like. Do you remember when they signed Patrick Roberts and everyone's going, why couldn't we sign Patrick Roberts?
He's injured, isn't he?
And at that point, they were about 6 points off the playoffs, and they've dropped so bad.
I read a report in Yorkshire Post with Sumba Longer at Barnsley says there's no interest. He says his promise was a disgrace. Just no interest, not putting in a shift, nothing. You see, we have got that, haven't we? We're just kind of a bit misguided sometimes. I just think it was just it was just an off day, I think, at Swansea. Overall, I think we're
got overrun, didn't we?
Yeah, we're getting, I know it's not about effort, but we're doing all right. It's just getting it right, really, picking the right side for me. But I mean, there's so much up and down in the fan base. Craig Allroyd, we just can't seem to shake it off and build that gap. Crucial games coming up. Mike Potts can't rely on anyone, so need to beat the SHIT teams around us. All might regret selling their players in Jam.
That's the thing.
They were awful against Brentford though, a month ago when I watched that.
I don't think the teams at the bottom are that bad. I think it's the teams at the top.
Middlesbrough can't buy a goal. Gary Wilco, can't see the option. It's Town. Of course it's going to go to the wire. I'll feel more relaxed if we kept the same front four as the Bristol game. Alistair Wynne, both. I'm still concerned we'll be all right. Anthony O'Neill, he's focusing on the big ones. Charlton, Wigan, Luton, surely must wins. I don't like people saying kind of must wins. I saw a tweet the other day saying Charlton's a must win. It's not.
If we beat West Brom, we don't need to beat Charlton. It's one of those things. We need to win three, I think. 3 or 4, possibly.
I just feel, oh God, I'm going to get, obviously we get beat. I'm back here embarrassed, but there's a lot of good feeling about Tuesday night. We played well, beat a good side, although out of form. We're at home again. We've got Smith Rowe, Willock. Come on. We've got to win on Saturday, haven't we?
What are you going for then?
Lyle Taylor, isn't it? On Saturday. I think we can just comfortable 2-0 win, but God, we don't want to be in playoffs if you play back all my predictions this season.
Who has some Matt Lawrenson for Liverpool other year?
I don't think it should be nervy because I just think if we go at them like we did against Bristol, start there, get the fans on side, I think could be a good...
I think they'll be a bit more defensive. I think they'll sit in a lot more, which will make it difficult.
I think it's another shocking forecast, isn't it, for the weekend? So we could be playing in rain and wind or what have you. But
I think it's going to be a really awkward 1-1 kind of game. I think both teams will be really. Yeah, I think it's going to be really bitty.
And then go to Ellen Road and really give it to them, spoil their party. No, why not? But I mean, in a way, kind of, where do we feel? Leeds beat Middlesbrough, so I was thinking that's a good result. They're playing well. We want them to win, even though the people saying, sure, Kosi, we never want Leeds to win. But you've got to think about yourselves now. Balls to them. Yeah. Come on, Town.
What about you, Simon?
I think we'll come out on the right side of the result that weekend. I think 2-1 to Town. Inevitably, we'll kind of have a few nervy moments in true kind of Town style, but obviously, because we went to the Valley, didn't we, early on in the season, and Charlton were really poor.
Oh, dreadful, man.
Really, really poor. And I think kind of with the team, we'll have a much stronger team against them this time around than what we put out with the Valley that day. That was really at the height of injuries and kind of people down in tools.
Lee Boy is one of the biggest bellends in this league.
Well, he talked some absolute dross after that.
He's a bellend.
Yeah.
2-1 to Town for me. 3 points incoming.
I just want to mention Nottingham Forest Football Club for their admission prices. Obviously, and we've nearly sold out. I'm surprised it's not come on the website yet that we've sold out for this because we're hardly any. What you made me laughing at text, Matt. They were restricted, £39 restricted view tickets at Ellen Road. How tempting is that?
37, yeah, 37.
Oh, you get £2
37 to
off.
sit behind a pole, yeah. It's such a crap ground.
No, but Forest are going for automatic though, so it'd be easy to kind of maybe ramp up the prices. They're on a bit of a roll. £20 in a certain block. Adults, 15 over 65s, 5s, 18 to 23s, £1 for 11s, and then even the other blocks only £2 more, 22, 16, 5. They get it, don't they?
Last time they charged us something really cheap. They beat us 6-1 and I missed our goal.
Yeah, I went to that. Do you remember that one?
I hated that game.
God,
Joe Lynch had a right stinker in front of me as well.
That to come, but yeah. It's just let's get the W in the bag on Saturday, and then we can really go into the derby game. Obviously playing it down, but in a way, I'm sorry guys, but I want Leeds to beat Hull because I want us to stay up.
I'm not focusing on anyone else. It's us, and if we don't win, then I start looking elsewhere.
Brian Orton. That's what we do. Go on, Brian.
What we do.
You've got a beard like him and all, but yeah.
Right, that's it. So thank you very much to our sponsors, Magic Rock, for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you to our people that send in the mailbox, and thank you to Love Sport Radio for hosting us on a Friday as well. Check it out at 10:30.
10:30 tomorrow. Ian Dunn and someone else.
Thank you very much.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.